Okay guys, so we're learning a new method today called dot equals, and this is for strings. Remember last time I told you guys when I was talking about Pokemons and whatnot, I said I'm writing bad code? It's because I was using the equal operator instead of the dot equals method. And the string uses the dot equals method. And you guys just have to remember when I went over the 8 primitive data types, I said string was the sort of special 9th primitive data type, right? And it's just something you have to memorize because strings are a little special in Java. I mean, this isn't that crazy because, you know, all languages have exceptions, not like computer languages, but like real life languages. And we just come to memorize them over time. Like in English, we say words like xylophone, right? Or like neighbor. When xylophone starts with an XY, we make a Z sound. Or in neighbor, it's spelled with like an E-I-G-H, but we make an A sound. Or even when you conjugate verbs, like cut in the past, present, future, perfect. I don't know all of them, but it's cut. But when you have some words like, it's a good example, like go, right? When we say I'm going somewhere, but in the past it's I went somewhere, or I have gone somewhere, and there's all these little exceptions in our language that just we come to memorize. The string is sort of like that in Java as well. We just have to memorize things that are specific to strings, okay? And one of these is the dot equals method. So instead of saying string is equal to another string and checking if that's true or false, we do dot equals and then put the second string inside there instead. Okay, and I'm gonna show you guys this right now. Okay, so I'm actually gonna grab the graphics-based code folder. It's got to do with the lab, so I'll just have this out for now. Alright, so let's open this. Okay, I don't remember exactly what I wrote for my Pokemon thing, but I think I called my string choice. I'm not positive, but you know, it is what it is. String choice, and I'll say equal to yes. It was a yes or no question, so I'll put yes. And I had an if choice, and then I said equal to yes. Then I had it do something. If choice is equal to yes, then oh yeah, the nurse would heal my Pokemon, right? But you know, I'll have something here. System dot, and in here I'll put like, I don't know, example. Okay, so if I save and run, this is gonna work, right? Don't get me wrong, it's not like it doesn't work. It'll say example because, you know, yes equals yes, and because yes equals yes, and this tests for this is a boolean and returns true or false, this is gonna return true inside. And well, if this was no, or anything else, honestly, if it wasn't yes, this would return false, right? But for strings, you don't want to do this. Although it works here, there are niche cases where it doesn't work. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the specific differences between equals and dot equals, but you just got to believe me on this one. You got to do dot choice equals, and then inside you want the parentheses to hold what you want. So I'm checking choice, and I'm checking if it equals to yes. So you can kind of think of, put some space here, dot equals, and then like string s. This is equivalent to, I don't want to put an equal sign. I'll just say is the same as, and then the equal sign. You can sort of think of it that way, but it's for strings, okay? So I just wanted to get that point across. So if I save here and run, it'll say example, just like it did before. Okay. I know I went a little fast on that, but I think you guys kind of understand what's happening here because we've used methods before. We've used translate, we've used draw, and stuff like that. So, yeah, your string s in the notes earlier, if I can find the notes, let's go to T21. Notes, PDF. And if I go down here, we learned about things like dot draw and dot translate, and inside translate we have parameters where it would be double x and double y, right? For the x and y coordinates of where, Sam, the rectangle Sam, would be translated. And in the same way, equals is checking the string before it and the string inside its parameters and returning a boolean if they're true or false. Okay, so that was just a quick overview of what I just did. And not going super deep into it once again, because this is something we've done before, and this is the same thing I did in my Pokemon example. I'm just changing my notation a little bit to make it more correct. Alright, so I'm gonna make another scenario like I did with my Pokemon example. Let's say I'm making like let's say we took a test, okay? So I have an int test score, and let's say we got an 85% on it. Okay, and I'll make a string and say let's name it result, and I'll leave it undeclared for now. And let's have an if statement. So if my test score is greater than or equal to 70, I passed, right? So that'd be like a C or a higher. So if my test score is greater than or equal to 70, I'll set result equal, equal to pass. Okay. But I'll have a second if statement saying test score is less than 70. So if you got less than a 70%, we'll say you failed. And I'm gonna have a system.out.println, and inside I'll say u result plus the test. Okay, so all I did here, I typed that really quickly without really talking. It's actually really hard to like program, like type while talking. So if I'm like typing and not saying anything or explaining myself, I'll probably be explaining it afterward, okay? So all I did here is I initialized an int test score, and I gave myself a test score of 85. I declared a string result, but I don't know what my result is yet, so I didn't initialize it yet. And inside these two if statements, I have an argument saying if test score is greater than 70, or greater than or equal to 70, which is, a C or above, result's gonna set equal to pass. And in the same fashion, if test score is less than 70, result is gonna equal fail. And what I'm printing, I'm saying U, and it's gonna say either passed or failed, right? So pass or fail and then ed. I'm just putting in the past tense, so you passed or failed the test. Okay, so I'm gonna save, and when I run this, try predicting what's gonna come out. Okay, and if you said that it's gonna say you passed the test because test score is equal to 85, you would be right. But what's gonna happen here, this is a common error. I just wanted to show you guys this because it's gonna happen to you eventually at one point. It's gonna say variable result may not have been initialized result. And the reason why it says that is because down here, I'm calling result without initializing it up here. But you're thinking, wait, I did initialize it. Result equals pass or result equals fail. And in our heads, we know that test score equals 85, and if a number has to be either 70 or above or lower than 70, right? That covers all numbers. I didn't say greater than 70 or 70 and set test score equal to 70, right? That means this truly, result would truly never be initialized because none of these are greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So result would be an uninitialized variable, and that error would make perfect sense. However, I had this equal sign here. So why is it giving me that error as if I didn't set result equal to pass in this case? Well, the reason why you're getting that error is because, remember earlier when we were learning about if statements, I said if statements let you take control of your code because you can see which blocks are run and which blocks aren't run. Well, Java doesn't know that yet, right? Java doesn't know that test score, well, Java does know that test score is 70, but it doesn't know if result is gonna ever run, right? Because these are if statements, everything inside is subject to run. It can run if its boolean is true, if its condition is true. But because these, if I said result equals, like pass up here, it would have been perfectly okay. Because every single time Java runs, result will be set equal to pass immediately after it's declared. Or I can even say equal to pass up here. Right? But what's happening here is that Java's not sure. Is it going to be pass? Is it going to be fail? Or is it just going to be nothing? Right? Or what we call null variable in... Actually, this isn't null. I shouldn't have said that. Or is it result going to be nothing? Okay? So what we do here instead, just to bypass that error, is we're just going to set it to an empty string. When we learned about strings, I told you guys that strings are allowed to be empty. You can initialize an empty string. So now result is actually nothing, not truly nothing. I don't know how to word that for lack of better words. So now if I run this, because result has been initialized to at least something, it shouldn't error. So now if I compile, there you go. And we run, it's going to say you passed the test because test score was 70, and if test score is greater than or equal to 70, result will equal pass. Alright, so now let's start using the dot equals method. So I'm going to have more if statements. So if I say if result, right? So if our pass or fail, if result dot equals, right? This is actually I'll write it out how I wrote it out before just to show you guys that they're basically doing the same thing. If result equals pass, what I want it to do, I can have another statement. So if you did pass, I can say congratulations. Did I spell that right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. And so if I save this will run, but remember I said that you should be using dot equals. So instead of using the equal operator, I'm going to use the dot equals method because result is a string and I'm comparing two strings with each other. So I can see result dot equals, just like how I would with translate. I'm just going to put a dot, the method name, and then the two parentheses and the parameter it holds. And in this case, the parameter is a string. Okay, so if pass equals pass, which it does, it should print congratulations after this print statement, right? So if I fail, let's say, I could say result dot equals and say fail. Then I can system dot out dot print line. What should I say? Like, you suck? No, that's mean. That's mean. What should I say? Better luck next time. Right. So now if I save here and compile and run, let's see what we get. Right. It'll say you passed the test. Congratulations, because my test score was 70. So what happens here is result gets set to true. Result gets set to pass. Then it prints out the result, which is pass. It'll say you passed the test. And if result equals pass, which it does, so this returns true. And if true, it's gonna print system.out.print congratulations. So what happens if I set this to 65%? It'll say you failed the test. Better luck next time. Alright, so that's about it for the dot equals method. The reason why I used the graphics-based code folder, even though I wasn't messing with graphics, is because I wanted to show you guys what keypress is doing. Okay, and he wrote here, note, S is a string representation of the key pressed. Okay, so this is a really common thing to do, especially when you're programming. If you're not sure what a certain variable is doing or what it is in the middle of your code, just print it out to the console. Then you can see exactly what's happening. So even though he said S is a string representation of the key pressed, well, what if I didn't know that? Well, if I didn't know that and string S is already in here, I can just check by saying system.out.println and have S in there, right? Because S is just a variable, not the actual letter S. So let's compile and run. What's gonna happen is, what he was saying is whatever letter or number I click on my keyboard, that's what key press is reading. So if I click J, the console should output J. And there's J, K, L, you know, M, N, O, P. And if I could just click random things on my keyboard and it'll all be there. Okay, so that's all that's method's doing. This event or method is being fired every time I press a key on my keyboard. And that key is being put into S. Okay, so S is going to be a string. It's going to convert whatever I'm clicking, including numbers, by the way. So whatever number I click, it's going to, if I click 1, it's going to be wrapped in quotes and have a 1 like that. Okay, so with your knowledge of how key press works and how dot equals work, let's take a look at the lab. Right, so the lab says, write a graphics Java program that moves a rectangle to the right each time the D key is pressed. Alright, we've messed with base code folders all this time. I'm seeing which one to use. Try figuring out which base code folder would be good for this lab. Excuse me. And a hint would be this base code should be something that you've written before, alright? And you're gonna add on to it. If this sounds familiar, which I hope it does, you know, that moves a rectangle object to the right each time, like, or just in general, moving an object to the right. Now we need to add on something called the D key. Well, not something, but you guys get what I'm saying. We want the rectangle object to move each time the D key is pressed. And he gives you a little hint here. Analogous to the onMouse click method, same thing. Remember when we clicked and the rectangle moved to the right? Instead of clicking, we want the rectangle to run when we press D on our keyboard. Very similar stuff, except last time mouse click just run whenever you clicked. Now we're given a string depending on what we're clicking on our keyboard. So try incorporating how to use dot equals, your knowledge of how to use dot equals, and making rectangles and translating them in this lab. Good luck, guys.